Welcome to a realm where personal growth meets expansive spirituality and where we're not just scratching the surface, we're diving deep, widening our perspectives, and having a darn good time doing it. This is the Enlightened Podcast, and I am your host, Jen Hamilton. You'll enjoy an infusion of motivation, empowerment, and inspiration that will resonate in every aspect of your life. Expect captivating stories, heartfelt musings, and my own personal experiences. But that's not all. I'm bringing awe-inspiring individuals to the table, so get ready to meet some remarkable souls whose wisdom and stories will leave you spellbound. No topic is off limits here. Brace yourself for raw authenticity, unfiltered vulnerability, and yes, the occasional splash of explicit language. We're delving into the realms of the esoteric, mystical, and the woo-woo, unafraid to explore the extraordinary. So if you are ready to venture beyond the surface, to explore the depths of your soul, and to awaken the magic of life, if your heart says yes, then hit that play button and let the Enlightened Podcast guide you on this remarkable expedition. Hello and welcome to this episode of the Enlightened Podcast. I am your host, Jen, and today's guest is Gurmehar Singh. Gurm was born in India, grew up in China, and currently resides in Thailand. Having grown up and been schooled in an international environment, immersed throughout a multicultural atmosphere, she has always been fascinated with the unique cultural elements and stories from all over the world. After following art as a passion since her middle school days, she honed her skills by doing a master's in visual arts in Hong Kong. She works in the medium of drawing, painting, and mixed media. She has several solo exhibitions in China and has gained recognition of her art globally. Gurm's artistic inspiration comes from everyday life. She's interested in creating works that represent the familiar world around us and by looking beyond the obvious. Gurm reconstructs the everyday environment around us into something artistically unique, which allows the audience to discover beauty in unusual places. I know you're going to get so much out of this episode, so let's dive in. Hello, Gurm. Welcome to the Enlightened Podcast. It's so wonderful to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me, Jen. It's great to be here.
My pleasure. Now, Gurm, you're an artist and content creator. Tell us all about the magic that you bring to the world.
So I'm totally bitten by the creative bug. So I do drawing, painting, mixed media, which is like combining two different or three different mediums. And then I also do writing and vlogging. And I've done exhibitions and workshops with both kids and adults. So yeah.
That's amazing. What is it that got you into this? Like, how did you establish yourself as an artist? Is it something that you've always had since you were a little girl, or when did this start for you?
Actually, no, it wasn't a childhood dream or it wasn't anything like that because I never had any interest in art in my primary school years. So I actually didn't like art a single bit, and I used to run away from art classes and art workshops, find any excuse to escape. And because I faced a lot of bullying and judgment by my classmates and teachers in art classes, and they didn't understand my style, or they because I didn't go by the book and I didn't follow the exact structure or curriculum that they wanted me to. So they always looked at me weird, and I never understood why, or like I was trying my best, so why don't they like it? And in middle school, things changed. In seventh grade, my art teacher recognized my style and started to encourage me. And she said that it doesn't matter what people think, or you don't have to copy paste art. Art creativity is about having fun, and it's about who you are, and everyone's different. So um, you don't have to care what people think, and that really sparked my curiosity that I can be different and I can develop my own style. And I start it wasn't like a like or a passion then. It was like a curiosity of what I can do with this. And throughout my middle and high school, I met like such encouraging teachers, and my master's professors were very encouraging. So it developed from like a curiosity to a passion to something I can't live without. So now when I have my workshops, I always encourage people to just be their authentic selves and just do what they want, you know? So,
I love that. I love that so much. And it's interesting, isn't it? Because I had to take the art subject in grade 8, which was high school back in my day. Um,
mhm.
and it was interesting when we had to do art because yes, we had to follow a brief, but it's like how can you grade someone on their art and their expression and their
Mm,
creativity? It's never really something I understood, and it sounds like this is something that you've come up against in your journey.
yeah, definitely. And it is tough because art is very subjective, right? Everyone has their own opinions. Even as an artist today, I look at art and I may not like everything or I may not agree with everything. So, yeah.
Yeah. What is it that you find, through holding workshops and holding space for other people to step into their creative side? What do you find is people's biggest barrier that they have to be their fullest expression that then comes through their art?
Oh, I've seen this a lot. I was like this too. I was like, I have a interest in drawing, but I can't draw. So why bother even trying to draw or like, I want to, but I know I can't. So what's the point? A lot of people say this to me, like, I can't draw, but so I say, that doesn't mean you can't draw. That means that you just haven't found yourself yet, or you're not confident enough in yourself yet. Because I used to be the same, and I believe that everyone has an artist hidden inside of them. So it doesn't have to be drawing, it can be any type of art or anything. You just have to, if you're passionate about it, I'm sure you'll find a way to do it. So.
Yeah, beautiful. In the space that you're in as an artist, do you find that there is judgment from other artists? So there might be, technical drawers that view themselves as artists, and then someone that comes along and does abstract or something that's just so expressive and out there that's not technical. Do you find that there's judgment thrown towards people if they call themselves an artist, but they're not like technical in their approach to art?
So I've been very lucky in that area because being connected to so many artists, and I've been a part of so many like art groups and art communities, I've found them to be all very supportive and encouraging, and we share like art tips, art advice, art events going around, what's happening in each other's studios, everything. So for me, it's been very supportive, but I know through social media, it's very difficult because I have faced judgments and critiques, and I have been down that road of limiting beliefs and self doubt. And this person commented this on my post, that means I'm a total failure and I should just give up. So I know it can be really tough to put yourself out there, and just especially as an artist when you're so vulnerable, because each of my pieces are connected to me in some way or have some part of my story or experience or some part of me. So I know that when I decided to become an artist, I decided that to be vulnerable and real and authentic. Yes, celebrate the good times, but also, share my struggles. So I know it can be difficult to face those judgments and critiques. Yeah.
Yeah, I found because I used to love doing resin art, and there is a technical side to it. There's things that you need to know in order to to mix the mediums and prepping the boards and all that kind of stuff. But I also struggled with calling myself an artist because in my mind I wasn't able to do like a landscape drawing or painting or this beautiful oil painting or anything. So I didn't associate myself for a long time as an artist until someone said, you create art, you're an artist. And I had these limiting beliefs. And until I actually sold a piece, and I sold quite a few pieces, I was like, okay, now I can call myself an artist. Tell us about your experience stepping into owning that, and embodying that title of an artist.
So for many years, like you, I never considered myself an artist. I was like, it's just something, it's a hobby, people do that as a hobby. So I'm not gonna make it into a professional career. That's crazy. And for a long time, I chose a different path. So I did my bachelor's in communication. And I was like, I'll just go and get a job and do art on the side. And I even hesitated sharing my pieces with like my I only shared them with my close circle, but even like with my other family and friends or uh, people around me or on social media, I hid my pieces for a long time. They were just left in the drawer. I was like, done, okay, just put them back in the drawer, hide them away. No one can see them. And eventually something inside me, like I heard that instinct, that gut feeling, that inner voice that said, it's calling. It was like my calling. So it called out to me that, no, this is what you're meant to do. And if you're so passionate about it, if, my hands used to get very restless when I never drew. And, I used to like crave for art. Art became like craving. So eventually I shared my first piece on social media and I was very scared because of the what happened at school, how people would react. And the comments were actually really supportive. They were like, you should make merchandise out of this. Do you do commissions? Can you make this piece for me? What else do you do? So I started participating in fairs and bazaars, and I'm actually the first artist in the family. So it was totally new to step into this world and learn everything, how everything works. So eventually I found my calling, I guess. Yeah.
That's so beautiful to hear that and congratulations, like being that first person in your family as well. I've got the not, I wouldn't say the opposite, but my auntie on my dad's side is an incredible artist, and my brother was always very good at sketching, and my sister was an amazing artist as well. And so I always felt as though, where is my creative side? Where is my technical side? Why can't I paint? I couldn't even draw a stick figure. I couldn't draw a circle, you know? But I guess I found my artistic ways through abstract expression, which was through resin art and, putting colors together and moving them around and, getting creative that way. Gurm, what are some of the blocks that you have had to come up against within yourself, not just, the what you experienced in school and externally? Tell us about some of the things that came up for you internally that then you were able to move through.
So one of them, I've actually shared this on social media as well, but one of them is losing some pieces of my work, seeing my work destroyed because there was flooding in my studio and I was stuck in quarantine that time. So I couldn't step out of my house because quarantine. This was like at the peak of COVID. So my studio landlady called me and said, you need to come right away. There's like water all over your studio and my heart just sank in that phone call. So I was like, okay, can you? I sent some people over to go and check, and I was like, can you just tell me if my work is okay? I'm mentally, emotionally prepared. I just need to know. And they said, no, everything's fine, everything's good. And I was like, oh, thank God. And a few weeks later, out of quarantine, had an upcoming exhibition, so needed to go prepare for that. So I was, doing inventory, preparing my work. I open my artwork folder and I see all of the work destroyed with water and everything. And I just completely broke down, just couldn't do anything for a long time. But I was like, I have that same day, I had a meeting in the evening with the curator and about the exhibition. And I was like, I wanted to put these works in the exhibition. What is going to happen? How am I supposed to handle all of this? And I still went and met the curator and started preparing for the exhibition. But that folder, I couldn't open it for months. And then a few months later, I was like, I have to deal with this. I can't avoid this forever. So, and at that time, I came across the concept of kintsugi. I don't know if you've heard of it. The Japanese, so it's like a Japanese art form where they mend broken pieces of pottery with like gold and
Gold. Yeah.
liquor.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's like it's not broken. I mean, it's broken, but it's even more beautiful after it's broken. You can always reinvent it. And I was like, I'm an artist, so if I can't creatively or reimagine or reinvent my pieces, it just really hit me. So I cut out the damaged parts. Uh, they shrunk, right? They became so small because of the one. I added gold pen to it, and I created my kintsugi collection. And yeah, so that one really hit hard, but yeah, I came through.
Wow. That's incredible. And isn't it just such a reflection of life?
It is.
And art is a reflection of ourselves, of our souls, of our life. And I love that concept, where it's not broken, you can mend it with gold and make it even more beautiful. And I think that can be so reflective of the experiences that we have in our lives, to realize that we're never broken, we are always a work of art.
We're always a work in progress, but we're also a masterpiece at the same time. So that's how I like to look at it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it's an incredible concept, isn't it? Let's speak into getting in touch and embodying your authentic self, because art as an expression of self, an expression of soul, requires you to be in your authentic expression. Tell me about the people that you work with and when they come to you, and how do you support them to be their authentic selves?
Um, well, I've had several workshops. So, I've had workshops as part of my exhibition. So we have like themed workshops, like one time, like a Mother's Day workshop or Children's Day workshop, or like a festival themed workshop like Christmas or I grew up in China, so also like the Chinese festivals. And then I've also collaborated with schools and universities. So I've been like a guest artist in an international school and international university. So one of the schools I worked with, they showed students my artwork, and they asked the students to create like Gurm themed artworks in their own way. So the students got inspired by my patterns and created their own patterns. So I told them that this is just an inspiration. You don't have to copy and paste or make it exactly the way I made it, right? You can add your own color. You can make new patterns out of it, or you can add a object and then combine the patterns, or you can make it small, make it whatever you want. And that really encouraged the students, and they were like, that's really cool. That because I draw, you were talking about being your authentic self, I draw my experiences from my own life and whatever I'm going through, whether it's good or bad. Because art is a way for me to express and deal with whatever I'm feeling. That's the best way for me to communicate. So, uh, whatever it is I'm going through, I just put it in my drawing or my work. So, I ask the students also that if there's something they want to express, art is a good way to do that. And so it was really interesting seeing that. And then after that, the same international school also used my artwork for a professional development session with the teachers and the staff. So that was also really interesting to see how one piece of art can just connect with everyone despite ages and where they're from and what their experience is. So yeah, that was really cool.
Wow, that's incredible, and congratulations on, being featured in international art schools and part of these programs. What is it about your journey that you really acknowledge yourself for? Like, was there a catalyst that helped you step into this, that helped you to harness this and go, I'm going to do something with this and I'm going to help other people in this space?
So apart from my teachers, which I already mentioned, so when I first started sharing my artwork on social media, I had all of these that I have to exceed societal expectations. I have to, make that perfect post or perfect video. Nothing can be out of line. And oh, this is not the right time to post. I can't reach as many people, so I need to find the perfect time to post and all of that. And I wasn't being my authentic self then because I was like, I have to word it in a way that the public likes, whether I'm feeling that or not. I have to put on this public face and just be what they expect me to be. And that's how I'm going to get the most success. And that's how people will see me as, oh, she actually is an artist. Otherwise, people will just say that she's nothing. So I was like, okay. And I used to, smile and hide my pain. And I was like, everything's good. And so that actually led to me totally losing myself. And I was like, I don't even recognize myself anymore. What am I doing? Who am I? Like, is this what I want my art to actually be? So it led to like deep reflecting and just taking a break and just finding myself again and figuring out which direction I wanted to go. And then I started being real and honest. Like, hey, I'm actually struggling today. Today has been a hard day. Or, hey, I'm so happy today. Guess what? This news just came in. And I started being very real and honest and human. And of course, I can't share everything. Some things are personal, but uh, I can write it in a way or talk it in a way or draw it in a way that people can relate to. And what started happening was that people uh, are like, we're not alone. We also go through this. How can you describe the exact feeling we're going through? And I think that inspires people that they can also be themselves. They don't have to mask or hide away. If other people are doing it, that's how it encouraged me because I saw other people posting like real vulnerable stuff, and I was like, wait, they're not scared of posting this on social media, so if they can do it, I can too. So that's how I started.
I love that so much. If there's someone out there listening, Gurm, and they're like, "Oh, I want to be an artist, or I want to express myself creatively, but I don't even know where to start." what advice would you give them? And is there is there a particular medium that you would invite them to work with that's essentially easy to start with? What if someone came along and said, "Where do I even start with this?" What would you say to them?
I would say start alone, which is like start with being by yourself and don't show your art to anyone first. And I'm not saying hide your art, I'm just saying to discover yourself and know what you like, what vibes with you, what you're actually passionate about. I can't tell you what medium to start with because I don't know what you like, what your interests are, what kind of style you want to go for. That you have to discover by yourself. So every artist has to discover this by themselves because art comes from within the soul. So what I would say is just play around, just have fun with it. Just like for example, the way you have fun playing video games or watching a movie or taking a jog or running in nature or cooking, whatever you that fun. Art should be as fun and exciting and get you as pumped up as that other activity. So I would say just start with a pen or paper or a paint or canvas or whatever you want to start with, and start small because when I first started, the big really used to scare me. I was like, I can't even do it on a small piece. The big is like so terrifying. So I started with a A4 sketchbook. That's it. And a pen. And actually not even a pen. Sometimes I did it with pencil first because I was like, I can erase it. So, so I started with a pencil and I just drew. I just let my hand guide me. So I was like, I don't know what to draw, but I will just start. And it just flows from there. And you just discover what you want to do. So that's my advice.
I love that so much, and it's interesting because when I first started doing it, I was really passionate about it, and I love doing it for myself, and I also love the idea of selling my art as well, so that I could share a piece of myself, and other people could have this in their homes, and it would perhaps inspire them to go out and create art for themselves. And I kind of got stuck in the trap of I'm not doing it for myself. I have to create a piece that I think someone else will like. And I think that's where I got caught up as well, because even though I dropped in and, connected with the colors that I wanted to work with, or the piece that I visioned and wanted to create, I found at times it wasn't actually me coming through. And so I love that you mentioned, do it for yourself, and and have that privacy aspect to it. Just create things that others don't need to see, because I think there's when we put ourselves on the line and we show our art. I used to have this saying like, no, you can't see my soul, but you can see my art. Right.
Mm.
And so, because it is an expression of ourselves, we don't have to share everything with the world. And I love that you brought that up.
Yeah, we don't. And actually, there's still some pieces that I haven't shared with the world. And I was like, I recently moved to Thailand, so I was like unpacking everything, and I saw that, hey, I haven't even shared this piece yet. And you know what? I actually don't want to, so I'm just gonna keep it here. Some pieces you just keep for yourself, so that's
Yeah.
okay.
What do you think the world would be like if everybody stepped into their authenticity and became artists?
I don't I would say yes to authenticity, but I wouldn't say yes to everyone becoming artists because I think that maybe it's not the right path for everyone. Like I wouldn't say everyone become doctors or lawyers or whatever. So the same way I wouldn't say everyone become artists. Uh, yes, you can have like as a hobby. I know a lot of people do like the art as a hobby, but unless you're 100% sure that this is the path you want to get, because I'm not gonna lie, it is a struggle. Okay, it's not an easy path that you can just get offers or get a job or get. It's not smooth like other paths. Oh, unless you're 100% sure that, okay, I'm willing to struggle, and there's going to be down days, there's also going to be up days, but it's going to be like a rocky roller coaster ride. And maybe I need to have, because when I first told my family, they said you need a plan B. Oh, we support you in your art journey, but what if it doesn't work? So you need a plan B. Or so that's why I was like, I have a degree in communication and I can always go back to that if it doesn't work. I have the safety net, and uh let me try this. And alongside I'll do like a job, or I'll find something if it doesn't work, right? I'm never letting my art go, but I always have that safety net to fall back on. So that's what I would tell everyone too, that yeah, be your authentic self, but make sure that you're willing to go through everything it takes to be an artist. So yeah.
Yeah, no, I love that. I love that so much. And it's interesting, isn't it? Because there's at the end of the day, we're all artists in some way, whatever we create. And it could be in the kitchen, it could be food. One of my ways, I don't paint anymore. I don't have the time and the space and the capacity to do that. But I find that my creativity comes out in the kitchen, in the
Mm.
food that I cook. And it's interesting, isn't it, when we have this preconceived idea that as an artist, in order to make it, and I say that inverted commas, you have to be discovered or picked up or sell these pieces. And there must be a lot of self-reflection and self-questioning when that doesn't happen, when you're good and you're receiving positive feedback, or people are like, oh my gosh, you could be huge in this industry, and then
Mm.
you're not. Like, tell us about some of the things that perhaps people experience as an artist, that like the journey that they have to go through within themselves when it doesn't end up being a career, or it doesn't make them money, or it doesn't financially reward them. What's that process like?
So for me, as I told you, it started out as a hobby. So um, when I started doing those fairs and bazaars and those things, every time I set up a stall, I wasn't even thinking about exhibitions or workshop or selling my work. I was just thinking that, is this going to be a career for me? That's what I was figuring out. So whenever I used to set up a stall or set up my merch, and people would come and pass by the stall, they would see the things, they would talk to me. Oh, what did you make? What is this? Oh, how did you start? All of that. And then they would walk away without buying anything. And that used to discourage me. I was like, oh, even this is not working. How am I supposed to make it through like exhibitions? I had like these big dreams. I will be published one day in this magazine. I'm going to have these interviews. Oh, I'm going to be like, people are gonna buy my work. I'm gonna be displayed in like that museum, and that gallery is gonna just offer me something really cool, and I'm gonna collaborate. So I I dreamt, I had this like thing that if I'm so passionate about art, I'm gonna get everything I deserve. And then I got this reality check. Even before I started, I was like, "Oh, slow down, calm down, first." And then I was like, I have to be patient. whichever big celebrity, whoever I'm a fan with, this big person who made it, uh, they had their struggles too. Like when they tell their stories, they're like, it took me years, or I had to go through this. I was rejected so many times. I was made fun of. I was this, and I was like, yeah, but they didn't give up, right? They kept going despite everything. They fell and then they tried again and they kept trying because they had that vision, they had that passion. It was their dream. So you can't just give up on your dreams. So I was like, okay, what can I do? I'll just keep applying for exhibitions. And you don't always, even the application takes money. So if you apply for exhibitions and to be published, they ask for an application fee, and it's like, regardless of whether you get rejected or accepted. And I was like, whoa, I didn't know that, because this was like my first entrance into the art world. So I was like, oh, so even if I don't get accepted, I won't get the money back. That was, and I was like, oh, so I have to see which ones. I can't just keep randomly applying, hoping that I would get accepted. I have to actually filter what I like or what works for me, or am I confident enough to apply for this, because not everything is going to match my vibe, and like not everyone I collaborate with is the right fit for me, which I also learned the hard way through my collaborations, which is like I used to just apply and I was like, everything's gonna work out, but not everything matches, and you just have to, part of being your authentic self is that you have to see and have boundaries of, mm, what works for me. Is this the right fit? Can I actually work with them? Is this a good collaboration? So I used to filter through and really be selective about who I wanted to work with, or what exhibition, or even like this. I don't even do this type of art, the kind of art they're asking for. So why am I applying? So that kind of thing. So yeah, that's a bit about what I went through.
Wow, and such a journey, isn't it? And it sounds like, yes, you've done these incredible things, but you've had to go through those shift in mindset and have those experiences of rejection in order to keep on going. And I think that's such a beautiful message inside of that, for any of our listeners, that want to step into this space or are artists and wondering like, when's it going to take off? Like, it sounds like it's just such an inwards journey as well. Gurm, I want to ask you, what's one piece of advice or wisdom that you would like to impart on the listeners?
Well, I already said be your authentic self. That's usually what I go for. But another piece of advice, which was passed down from my grandma, and then my mom passed it down to me, is do your best and forget the rest. Because as long as you are all in and like giving it your 100% in everything, and it doesn't work out, or it works out, either way, you know that you did your best and you gave it your all, and you couldn't have done anything more, because you gave it your best shot, and just leave the rest to destiny or fate or the universe, because eventually things will work out. So
That is
that's my
so beautiful. We will link to everything in the show notes, including your website and your Instagram page, so people can give you a follow, Gurm. And I'm going to ask you just one more question before we wrap up for today. To you, what is the meaning of life?
wow. That is deep. For me, the meaning of life is just to be the realist and most honest version of yourself. And also, to me, the meaning of life is to be grateful, because I, whenever I go through hard times, I tend to, really complain about, I don't have this, when will this end? I don't want to feel like this anymore. And people are so much better off than me, and I have nothing. And then I stop and look, and I was like, I'm actually so much better off than people, and I have so many things. People don't have a house to live in. Even the most simplest things, like people don't have food to eat, people are starving, people are in war zones, and I'm in a safe environment. There's so many blessings around us. So I think the meaning of life is to just cherish every day and live life to the fullest. So, yeah.
I love that. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for being an incredible guest on the Enlightenment podcast.
Thank you so much, Jen. It was a pleasure to chat with you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining me for this episode. I hope you love the Enlightenment podcast, and the biggest compliment you can give me is subscribing to this podcast, sharing it, and leaving a rating and review. Feel free to follow me on Instagram. My handle is @JenHamiltonOfficial, and the podcast handle is Enlightenment_podcast. You can also find the video version on YouTube on my channel. Just search Enlightenment and don't forget to hit subscribe. Have a beautiful day and enjoy living the enlightened journey of life.